PR Connections Radio presents.
Welcome to Vegas Hockey Hub here on PRConnectionsRadio.com, the voice of new media. I'm your host, Ian Kelly. And on this edition of Vegas Hockey Hub Recap, where we break down every single game of the 2023-2024 season. Game 7, first round, Dallas versus Vegas. Now, I'm going to do this disclaimer with a minute into the show. This is not going to be like your typical recap show. For anybody who has watched all 89 episodes, of this Vegas Hockey Hub recap, where we broke down every single game. We've talked about all of this stuff throughout the year. I normally do it in a way where it is pregame notes, roster changes, who's going to be in net, and then I go throughout the entire game. I break down the penalties. I break down what happens in the goals and everything like that. For this episode, it's going to be a tad bit different because with this being Game 7, with it being a recap between Vegas and Dallas, this is really going to be more of a shoot, just off the cuff, instant reaction type of thing. Because with this Game 7, it really doesn't do enough justice just to talk about what happened in this game. Because, yes, I could really get into detail and talk about the Wyatt Johnston goal in the first period. Yeah, if I really wanted to, I could go and talk about the Brett Howden goal, the only goal of the second period. I could talk about the fact that they let up a goal in the first minute of the third period against Dallas and essentially seal the fate of your Vegas Golden Knights. Yeah, for sure. I could do all of that. I could talk about the lineup changes, which were exactly nothing. They kept everything the exact same from Game 6. I could break down the starting lineup. I could do all of that like we normally do on this recap show. But I'm not going to. Because with this Game 7, it really feels like a depletion of shorts. Like, as somebody who has been watching this entire postseason, as someone who's been here throughout this entire situation, the energy level feels completely gone. And for the first time in really the while, I don't know where to go from here. Like, when it comes to your Vegas Golden Knights, where do you go at this point? Like, where is your situation? What is your going to be at a certain point in time? Because it feels like the Vegas Golden Knights could pivot in 3 different ways, all right? The first way is that your Vegas Golden Knights stay on the course. They bring back majority of the people. They already have 18 players signed up to the roster for next year. They keep it on the course. They try to bring back whoever they need to bring back. They make some slight changes, but they try to stay on course, right? That's the first option. Second option is that they double down and they try to improve and try to get better. They try to make certain moves in order to help out and increase what they are doing for next year. They still believe in the ideology. They still believe in the plan, the mindset that Bill Foley has, and they pretty much double down on it. Then you have the third and final option, which is take some players that didn't play, boom, you're gone. They see a fan favorite, someone who's a misfit, someone who's been here forever, and they don't bring him back in free agency. And by the way, don't worry, for anyone who's wondering, Vegas Hockey Hub, we're still going to be here on PR Connections Radio Monday to Friday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern. I will still be here like I have always been. And we're still going to be here on PR Connections Radio. Just because the season is over does not mean that this show is over. I still have a lot of player profiles to go over. There's some content that I really am going to be putting out in the next couple of weeks that is impactful to your Vegas Golden Knights. But it feels like for the Vegas Golden Knights, it seems like for the first time in about 2 years, you really have to look in the mirror and see what you're trying to do moving forward. Like I said, this is no, straight and narrow kind of recap show we've done in the past. This is really just talking about what we saw in this game. the defense, we need to talk about this for a minute. I'm not calling out Aiden Hill. Aiden Hill did a fantastic job in Game 7. In fact, to me, Aiden Hill is the reason why Dallas only scored 2 goals. I mean, this was a really good effort by Aiden Hill. 22 saves on 24 shots in this matchup. I mean, Aiden Hill did what he had to do. Logan Thompson, the first 4 games of this series, did what he needed to do. The goaltending is not the issue. I don't want anyone who likes to bash Logan Thompson or like to bash Aiden Hill. Don't do it. Just stop. There's no reason to bash them because they did a really good job in this series. To me, the issue lies in the defense. There's 2 people that really deserve a little bit of blame in this series. Shea Theodore, and this is going to sound like a reoccurring issue because I've talked about it on the show before. Shea Theodore, offensively, you are one of the best players on this team. Offensively, when you have the puck on your stick, you get it to the right guy, regardless if you're in the point, if you're in the high slot, if you're in the center circle, if you are near the neutral zone. But when you're in the neutral zone, hey, Shea Theodore, I have a piece of advice. Okay, come here. I just want you to really quickly, just real quick. If you're in the neutral zone and you feel like there's somebody coming up to you on the opposite side, stop turning the puck over. I saw countless times in this series where it's either the lack of awareness or he just didn't see the guy coming and he turns over the puck either in the defensive zone or in the neutral zone, and it creates a 2-on-1, a 3-on-2, an odd man rush, a 1-on-1 situation. Shea Theodore, I look at what you're doing defensively, and I see it as a liability at this point. For Shea Theodore, I really sit here and question what you are doing defensively. I mean, it looks like all you want to do is just skate into the offensive zone and start shooting the puck. And if you want to, that's fine. But then why are you a defenseman? A little bit of a rant there, but I just had to get that out. Like Shea Theodore, countless times in this series, you have given up the puck, you have given up opportunities, and you created opportunities for Dallas more than you did Vegas. Now, I will say with Shea Theodore, when he is on it, when he is in the offensive zone, he is one of the best players on this team. It's just defensively, you became a liability in this series. And it was clear and obvious to almost everybody. Zach Whitecloud, you're a nice person. I've met you once. I will say, Zach Whitecloud, you are a very nice person in real life. But, you know, you're tripping over your skates. You're making mistakes in the neutral zone, just like Theodore was. Defensively, I don't think you're getting right in front of the net. You're not making it easier for Aiden Hill or Logan Thompson. Like Zach Whitecloud and Shea Theodore, both in this series, made small mistakes that eventually stockpiled and rolled and became a bigger problem. I really look at Alec Martinez. As much as Alec Martinez, thank you for the championship last year. You're a 3-time Stanley Cup champion. I also do have to appreciate you coming in for Nick Hague, who did get hurt. I do appreciate that. But at this point, we have to call it what it is. Your age is catching up to you. You look old, okay? Like, you can see on the ice, you see the way you skate. It was obvious to everybody that you've lost a step at this point. So when it comes to Alec Martinez, hey, I thank you for last year. You won a Stanley Cup. You were on that first line with Pietrangelo. You came in. You were a veteran. You have presence in the locker room. I appreciate that. But at this point, I don't really know where to go with him at this point. Because when it comes to Alec Martinez, where do you go in terms of mobility, in terms of liability? It really feels like Derek England the last 2 years. So anybody who remembers the Vegas Golden Knights, the last 2 seasons that Derek England was in the organization, he was a part-time guy. Like, he was essentially a 6th defenseman / 7th defenseman on the Vegas Golden Knights. He only played half the year. So, you know, Alec Martinez, once again, thank you for that. but you could tell that his age is catching up just a bit. I also have to say, in terms of age, Alex Pietrangelo, can we talk for a minute? Petro, can we talk? Now, yes, you block shots. Indeed, you block shots. And defensively, you did really good in the defensive zone, okay? I will acknowledge and give credit to Alex Pietrangelo. He did his job in the defensive zone more often than he did. But 1 point in this series, Alex Pietrangelo, a guy who's known for being more of a two-way guy, for being somebody who could shoot the puck. I mean, does anybody remember what he did in the last postseason? In fact, does anybody remember what he did in the last postseason? He had 10 points in the postseason last year. Alex Pietrangelo was a guy who at least productively got on the board. I mean, shoot, he had 5 points against Winnipeg last year in the first round. Only 1 point for Alex Pietrangelo in this postseason. It's a bit of a question mark. Now, I will choose to ignore it, and I will move on from that because, yes, defensively, you did more good than you did negative. I will give you props on that. But for someone who plays the way you do, it's just a bit puzzling, the fact that you only had 1 point in this postseason. And it really makes you question, when it comes to Pietrangelo, I mean, what was the situation there? It just really felt like he disappeared at times in this series. The two defensemen that I do have to give praise to, and I'm not going to be bashing them at all, Brayden Nabber, he did a really solid job. In fact, you could say he was actually one of the best players in this series. He was getting hits. He was blocking shots. He was on it. He was in front of the net, helping out Aiden Hill. Earlier in the series, he was helping out Logan Thompson, even saving him by getting his stick in front of the puck once or twice in this series. Brayden McNabb, he did a really good job. And I do appreciate the fact that Brayden McNabb did what he was supposed to do in this series. In fact, he even scored a couple of goals in this series, really showing the impact that Brayden McNabb had in this postseason. So Brayden McNabb, 5 points in 7 games. And you really have to sit here and kind of give a round of applause to Brayden McNabb for stepping up in this series and doing what needed to be done. So, once again, with Brayden McNabb, I really sit here and look at what he did this postseason, and he did a really solid effort, and he's someone that you have to give credit to. And really the best defenseman in this series. I mean, Noah Hannafin, what a great addition he has been. I mean, let's make no mistake about it right here, right now. When it comes to Noah Hannafin, he was on it in this game. Noah Hannafin was your leading, he was pretty much the defensive quarterback for your Vegas Golden Knights in this game. He was on it every single time. Noah Hannafin had 2 shots in this game, but one of those shots actually could have gone in. In fact, if it would have just been a little bit over to the right, it would have been a goal. It's also the same Noah Hannafin that's making hits. This is the same Noah Hannafin that led all players in this game in time on ice. Almost 24 minutes of ice time with Noah Hannafin. And really looking at this series, Noah Hannafin has been on it more than he has been off of it in this postseason. I mean, Noah Hannafin, bunch of props to you. I mean, this is a guy that they are going to keep long-term, and there's a reason why they are keeping Noah Hannafin long-term. It's because he is doing what needs to be done in this postseason. He stepped up for the Vegas Golden Knights. Even when he got delegated down to the third line on a defensive pairing, he still stepped up. So Noah Hannafin, 5 points in this game, had a crucial goal in Game 6, and then he had that good go-ahead goal in Game 2. So for Noah Hannafin, good job for him there. I do like what we got from him. So defensively, it was a mixed bag with your Vegas Golden Knights. You had some positives with Hannafin, with McNabb, even Nick Hague in a limited amount of appearances. He actually did very well in his limited time to begin the series. But you really have to sit here and say, do the positives outweigh the negatives? Does Hannafin McNabb, and on defense, Pietrangelo outweigh the turnovers of Shea Theodore? Does it outweigh the Zach Whitecloud and the fact that he really was kind of just average in this series? Does it overcome the fact that Alec Martinez, his age was showing towards game 6 and 7 in this series? It's just a situation where, what do you look at? Do you look at the positives or do you look at the negatives in this series? Are you an optimist or are you a pessimist? I mean, that's just really what you have to address in this game 7. Line 4. I'm just going to be doing this line by line because, like I said, this is just off the top of the head, off the top of the dome here, just off the cuff. There's no script with this one. William Carrier, you going up against Jamie Benn, you making good hits. I mean, this is a guy that, he only plays in about 11, 12 minutes every single game. But with William Carrier, a positive for him is that he does make his hits, is that he does connect when needed. But with William Carrier, outside of that goal in Game 5, right? Outside of that goal in Game 5, you weren't really there offensively. And outside of being in the penalty box, outside of getting hits, what else was your production there? So I will say with William Carrier, it's kind of a mixed bag with him. Because if you value hits, and if you value the fact that this is a guy that was really being able to get under Dallas's skin, he did connect on the right hits, he did mess it up with Jamie Benn in Game 3. But with William Carrier, only 1 point in the series, and that was a goal in Game 5. So with William Carrier, that's a situation there. Nick Waugh is a bit of an interesting situation. Now, Nick Waugh, he did win 7 faceoffs in Game 7. He does win his faceoffs more often than not. He's actually above average in the faceoff circle with your Vegas Golden Knights. But what if I told you that he is one of the only few people in this series to not register a single point for the Vegas Golden Knights? I mean, look, good for you. You did make some shots in this series, a grand total of 2 shots in this series. And, you are skating around, you're doing stuff like that. But Nick Waugh was kind of like a ghost in some games. I mean, I will say there was a few times where I totally forgot that Nick Waugh was even on the ice. So, Nick Waugh, his face-off situation, that is the positive there. The fact that he is able to win in the face-off circle more often than not. But the negative with him is that he had 0 points in this series, and it seemed like he just really wasn't there offensively in the zone. Keegan Kolesar, oh boy, where do I go with you? Okay. Keegan Kolesar, you did have a chance of scoring a goal in Game 5. And I actually could have tied up the game, actually. Now, Keegan Kolesar, you did have some rare moments where you could have won. You could have won some people over. You did have a chance to score, stuff like that. In this postseason, just like with Nick Waugh, you had 0 points in this series. You also went to the penalty box only one time. Too bad it was in Game 7, but you only had 1 penalty in this entire postseason. So you know what? In terms of discipline, in terms of making the hits, I will notice that there are a few times in this series where you were defending your teammates, you were stepping up, and you were helping out the team in terms of physicality. So Keegan Kolesar, you do get some credit on that end. But when it comes to the offensive side, you didn't register a single point. So for Keegan Kolesar, it is interesting to really look at that situation. Now, I really need to talk about... All right, now this is going to be a short rant. All right, it's only going to last maybe a minute or two. But, okay, please explain this to me. All right, Brett Howden, Michael Amadio, William Karlsson, they did a really good job in this game. All right, the third line actually looked like the best line in this game. Okay, so my little rant to you, and I'm just going to try to do this in the nicest way I can. Why is it that this third line was like the only one that stepped up? Why is it that this third line seemed like the most energetic? They seemed like they hustled. It seemed like they were really trying to get down the ice and score anytime they were on the ice. William Karlsson, who I know is not at 100%, he had an assist in this game. He looked like he actually was trying to shoot the puck. And more importantly, with William Karlsson, you could tell that this is a guy who was blocking shots. He was winning in the faceoff circle. I think he had like a 75% faceoff win percentage in this game. William Karlsson came back from that said injury he has been dealing with to register back-to-back points in this postseason. I mean, shoot. If we're going to be technical, we're going to go there. Line 3 in Game 6 and in Game 7 acted like your Line 1. And it's really unfortunate that you have to say that, but it's just the reality. It's actual facts. Karlsson, Howden, and Amadio, I'm not going to say anything bad about any of them. You know, I normally kind of critique Brett Howden for some of the stuff that he does in the defensive zone. I do think he does make some turnovers and cause penalties that are unnecessary. But in this series, Brett Howden was performing like it mattered. He performed like he had to get that puck on his stick, and he had to shoot it all the way down the ice because it was how important it was. So for Brett Howden, I have no negative stuff to say about what he has done in this series. He had 2 points in this series, but they were arguably 2 very valuable points in this series with Brett Howden. So, you know, Brett Howden, he did a good job. Michael Amadio, he came in for Anthony Mantha, which is a completely different rant in his own situation. But Michael Amadio came in and he helped out and showed that presence that you were looking for with the Vegas Golden Knights. So, Michael Amadio, I give him props. He did what he had to do. Brett Howden, he stepped up. He did what he had to do. William Karlsson, despite being hurt, showed up. So why couldn't the top 6 do it? That's all I want to know. Why did the top 6, and there's one player I have to call out in particular. Why is it that the top 6 looked like they were just ghosts? You know, it looked like they were just struggling. They were just in neutral for the entire game. Just that situation there. All right. Since we're going to talk about it, we might as well talk about it. Jack Eichel, you were the most impactful player in this game. 4 shots on net. You had some hits. You did block some shots. You actually won more faceoffs than you lost. Jack Eichel did what he needed to do. Now, am I going to blame him for whiffing on that goal that could have been a goal in the second period? No, because if I did that, then I would have to call out every single time that there has been a Vegas Golden Knights player who has whiffed on a goal. All right, I'm not going to call out Jack Eichel for that. To me, Jack Eichel showed that he is the most impactful player in this game. He averaged a point per game in this postseason. This is the same Jack Eichel that had around 25 shots in this postseason. So, Jack Eichel, you did what you had to do. All right, I give you credit. You were trying as hard as you could to win this game. When I saw you skating around, when I saw you in the offensive zone, you were trying to get that puck on your stick, trying to get it into the right spot to make your moment count with the Vegas Golden Knights. Jack Eichel is not the person I have a problem with. And before anybody gets started, I don't really have a problem with Jonathan Marchessault either. Even though I really could sit here and say that Jonathan Marchessault, it looked like he didn't want to shoot at some moments in this series. Even though William Karlsson, all these guys are scoring points, William Carrier, all these guys are trying to score goals and stuff like that, I could call out Jonathan Marchessault. You know, theoretically, I could call him out for the fact that he did not have a goal in the last 5 games. Even though he scored 42 goals in this regular season. You know, I could try to call out Jonathan Marchessault for the fact that he had no points in Game 5. that he had no points in Game 6 and that he had no points in a crucial Game 7. I'm not going to call him out for that because he at least shoots the puck. At least Jonathan Marchessault, he had about 25 shots on net. Him and Jack Eichel accounted for about 50 shots on net in this postseason. So when it comes to the offensive side of it, I can't call out Eichel. I can't call out Marchessault because at least they were trying to shoot the puck. They were trying to be contributors. They at least showed up when it mattered. No, that's not the person I'm going to be calling out right now. All right, George McPhee, Bill Foley, all the people that are here. Yeah, you're not going to want to hear this, but I got to say it. Tomas Hertl. They trade for you. They give up David Edstrom. They give up these assets to acquire you to make a postseason run, right? They come in to make a postseason run. You're going to be a part of it, right? You're going to be a member of this team. You're going to be on the second line. You were even on the first line at one point. Tomas Hertl, please explain to me why you only had 1 point in this postseason. Tomas Hertl, why is it that after Game 1, which you had just 1 goal, you had 0 points in Game 2, Game 3, Game 4, Game 5, Game 6, Game 7? Why did we trade for you? I really want to know this. Like, you seem like a ghost in this series. And on top of it, you had at least 2, no, not 3 turnovers when it mattered in the neutral zone. In fact, there was a turnover in the defensive zone where it seemed like you just gave the puck straight to the Dallas player. Like, oh, thank you. I don't understand it. I don't understand how you are a really good player. You are. But you did not show up in this postseason. Why did you not show up in this postseason? After the Vegas Golden Knights put all that effort to trade for you. I don't get it. So on that line, like I said, Jack Eichel, 25 shots on net. He averaged a point per game. Jonathan Marchessault, at least he scored multiple goals and had 4 points in this series. Tomas Hertl, 1 point, and that was in the first game. So I really don't get it. You know, it seemed like he was just a ghost in the rest of the series. Now, the second line, you had Ivan Barbashev, you had Chandler Stevenson, and you had Mark Stone. Ivan Barbashev, this is a guy that did score as some assists in this series. Right? He had 4 points. All of them were assists. So if you want to call him out for not scoring a goal, you can do that. That's fine. I'm not going to because he at least showed up and did, he did have some block shots. He did do some hits. In fact, he had the most hits in Game 7 out of everybody on the team. So, no, I won't be calling out Ivan Barbashev for that. And you can even look over at Chandler Stevenson, who may or may not be coming back, by the way. And Chandler Stevenson, at least you tried. Chandler Stevenson, I could tell that you at least were trying to make some form of an effort in this postseason. But unfortunately, you had what I call Tomas Hertl did. You only had 1 point in this series. But you know what? At least you tried. Mark Stone, you were the captain of the team. Okay? You played hurt. Everyone could see it. We saw your face at Game 7 when you went over to the bench. We all saw that you're playing through the injury. You're playing through the pain. I respect the absolute heck out of that. You're a team player. You played throughout your injury. But if we're going to be fair, and if I'm not going to be biased here, we have to address it. Mark Stone had 3 points in this series, all 3 of them goals. He did a fantastic job in this series. Game 7, unfortunately, you had no shots in Game 7. I want everyone to think about that. Your team captain had 0 shots in a do-or-die Game 7. So the positive is that you had multiple goals in this postseason and you played through the injury. But a negative is that you did not have a single shot in this in Game 7. So this is Vegas Hockey Hub recap 2023-2024. This is our Game 7 recap. What a season. I want to say, by the way, to everyone who has been here for every single episode we have done of Vegas Hockey Hub recap, thank you. I appreciate everyone who's been on this journey. And until next time, I'm your host, Ian Rakelli. Go Knights, go, and have a good one.